What's going on? What's going on, New York Giants fans? Sports is Like podcast is back about 3 weeks since the NFL draft. A successful draft, I would say, overall, but we're back sifting through the offseason as we're getting ready for training camp. Currently just had an OTA, go through OTAs, training camp, getting ready for the season this fall, just sifting through the offseason. So just wanted to do some draft wrap up, some schedule talk, James Bradberry and OTAs. First things first, NFL draft, as I said, was a successful draft overall. I don't think anybody can complain. First round, Kayvon Thibodeaux, Neal went about as smooth as I think anyone could have wanted. I'm not going to say could have expected. The last couple years with Dave Gettleman, you never know what you was going to get. I take that back. You knew that we were going to get a defensive tackle if there was one rated high. But Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, I think they had a good draft overall. They definitely targeted the offensive line, impact players in the first round, but just depth-wise, they definitely targeted offensive line. I think, with the off season and the draft combined, hopefully the Giants got the offensive line solved. We got two bookend tackles with Andrew Thomas and Neal. Got some solid experienced guards up front. What we're gonna do at center, I think one of those guards that they signed from Buffalo can play center as well. So a revamped offensive line. Hopefully this gives Daniel Jones a better chance, as this is his last shot at it. They declined his fifth-year option. As he said, it is what it is. I love that quote. He's got to come in and he's got to play well. So we'll see. Now, the players that I thought were really good picks, I'm just going to go ahead and shoot off a couple because, according to the draft nicks, the draft nerds, the grade was somewhere between a B- to an A-. You got some people coming in with a B, you got ESPN with the A, you got PFF with the B-. No one really knows. I like to come into these drafts just hoping that the Giants get good players because we never really know what's going to happen. Fifth round picks can turn into stars. First round picks can be busts. So you never really know. The first pick overall, number 5, Kayvon Thibodeaux. Edge out of Oregon. Obviously love the pick. I think everybody loved that pick, specifically because hopefully it gets the Giants back to rushing the passer. You got Azeez Ojulari that they got in the second round out of Georgia last year. Played really well during the season, and now you got another bookend edge, and you can bring Leonard Williams inside where he needs to be. So hopefully that front line of Kayvon Thibodeaux, Azeez Ojulari, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence can really make that defensive line a force to be reckoned with, because the cornerbacks might suffer a little bit. So we're going to have to get at it with that Wink Martindale defense. Obviously, the pick at number 7, Neal out of Alabama, played left tackle, played right tackle. I believe he even played some guard at his time at Alabama. I think it's a really solid pick. I think the Giants did the right thing. Get your edge rusher at 5. Let Carolina do what Carolina wants to do. Obviously, they took Ike Ekwonu, which I didn't even want. I want the all-around talent. I think Ike, the Panthers took, is a really good run blocker, but he's not going to pass block all that well. The Giants just need good players. So getting Neal that can both run block and can pass block, played right tackle well, I think that hits the spot for the Giants. Obviously, in the second round, taking Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky, a short wide receiver. I think this is the one that got all the draft nerds and, got them in a tizzy because, he didn't have the great measurables. He wasn't 6'2", with freakish arms. He's basically a guy walking down the street. He's 5'8", 5'9", 185 pounds, but is really quick, can get in and out of his breaks. He made big plays at Kentucky when you really watch the tape. Josh Ezeudu, guard out of North Carolina, was the more athletic guard on that line. Marcus McKethan, he's more of the power guard, run blocker, can really move people. So again, that really goes back to what Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll was trying to do, trying to solidify this offensive line once and for all with good depth, with good experience, and with good talent. After Joshua Ezeudu was Cordell Flott. cornerback out of LSU. I think is a real decent player. The cornerbacks that we have now with James Bradberry being released, he may get some playing time, but I'm not sure. Obviously, we have Adoree Jackson, Darnay Holmes, you got Robinson, you got Julius Love back there. So we have a lot of DBs back there playing safety. Some can play cornerback. So it's going to be real interesting to see if Cordell actually gets some playing time. It's possible. We'll see in this new Wink Martindale defense. After Cordell Flott, a pick that I really like, Daniel Bellinger, tight end out of San Diego State. Now, for all those draft nicks, draft nerds that like the measurables and the athletic talent, this was a guy for them. At San Diego State, he was more of a blocking tight end, but at the combine, he measured in the top 10% of all the good stuff, you know, broad jump, long jump, 40, all of that good stuff people like to see at the combine. Daniel really stood out. I think that he can expand what he did in college. He doesn't just have to be a blocking tight end. I believe with this Brian Daboll offense, he's going to spread them out and let them get down the field. I don't think he's going to be a vertical threat, but from the horizontal plane, I think that's where he's going to attack the defense. And having a tight end that can block and catch is where we want to be after 4 years of Evan Ingram. Dane Belton, safety out of Iowa, solid pick. DB, someone that can be back there, can play the deep center, can come up, can play the run, a really good player all around. I like the pick. It was a good, solid pick. Micah McFadden, linebacker, Indiana, a real rush linebacker, which is good. I think that with Wink, we're going to get after it. It's not going to be any of this zone coverage. We're going to get after it. We're going to pass rush. We're going to pass rush with Azeez Ojulari, with Kayvon Thibodeaux, with Leo Williams, and with Micah McFadden. We're going to get after it, which, hey, Giants fans, that's what we want. Darian Beavers, linebacker out of Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bearcats had a great year last year. Hey, can't knock the pick. Coming out of the draft, to actually sign your picks, the Giants needed some more cap space. So through this whole process, it was going to be what's going on with James Bradberry. Are they going to keep him? Are they going to cut him? Are they going to trade him? They're going to let him go, and the Giants had to cut James Bradberry to free up $10 million in space. Now, they could have kept him if they really wanted to. All they had to do was extend his deal if they really wanted to do that. But as we seen last year, James Bradberry is starting to slow down. I don't think he has that same foot speed. He was getting burnt over the top a lot. So I'm not mad that Joe Schoen cut him. I mean, you know, this is his team now. We got to let him build it the way he wants to build it. He didn't want to extend James Bradberry down the road, extend that cap hit. He did not want to do that. He did not want to go another year of having James Bradberry on his roster. He really wanted it to be a one-year deal. I'm not mad at Joe Schoen. It's his team now. He gets to run it the way that he wants to run it. Now, it seems like there was a trade possibility with the Houston Texans. They couldn't get that money compensation right, and so he probably just didn't want to go to Houston. He was like, you know what? The heck with all of that. I'm not going to Houston. The Giants ended up cutting him, and a couple days later, he signs with the Eagles. Now, you know, he says it was the best roster out there. Maybe he wants to stick it to the Giants. Maybe he doesn't. But again, you have to let Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll build his team the way they want to build it. James Bradberry was starting to get a little bit long in the tooth, as they say. Was starting to slow down. He's still a good player. Giants fans, you know. You seen a couple times where that lack of overall foot speed was getting beat deep. So again, I'm not mad at Joe Schoen. I'm gonna let him do what he does. OTAs, OTAs are OTAs. You just want to make sure that none of your players get hurt. I think that's all what NFL fans want. They want to make sure that their players don't get hurt, that they have a successful practice session, get through the summer, no issues. They don't get into trouble. They don't get hurt through training camp. They don't get hurt through preseason, and they start the season whole. I think that's all the Giants fans want. But one thing that did come up was Kadarius Toney. He had a knee scope. He should be good for training camp. But again, I think that's the reason why Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll went out and got Wan'Dale Robinson. A lot of people didn't like that pick. They said that, hey, you already have a similar player. in Kadarius Toney, but remember, Joe Schoen did not draft Kadarius Toney. You know, there's been rumblings, Kadarius not being mature, injury prone. He only played a couple games last year, and you know, coming in, you know, Joe Schoen, he's probably like, hey, can I rely on this guy? I didn't draft him. I didn't do the work on him. He might have even had him as a second round grade last year when the Giants took him in the first round. So he's like, hey, we have a player that we targeted. Brian Daboll has an offense that he wants to use with Wan'Dale Robinson. He could probably use Kadarius Toney in there with him, both of them on the field at the same time, spread it out, attack the horizontal plane of the defense. And if he doesn't work out, hey, if we can't trade him, we'll just cut him. I think that Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll's gonna run a tight ship. They're gonna want their players. And again, as I've been saying through this whole video, you have to let Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll do what they do. This is their shot. Believe me, they're not trying to jack it up. So we'll see what happens, and then we'll judge them accordingly. The NFL just released the Giants schedule for the upcoming year. I'm gonna run through these real quick. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on them. I did have the Giants overall at a 9-8 record. That may be too overly optimistic, but just looking at the teams, this is what I thought. First things first, Tennessee Titans. Unfortunately, I gave the Giants a L there. There's just, I think that overall, they are a good team. They're well coached. Mike Vrabel had them as the #1 seed. I don't know how he did it, but they were the #1 seed in the AFC playoffs last year. They did lose A.J. Brown. Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback, which is not all that great. They probably want to replace him with Malik Willis at some point and Derrick Henry. But overall, a solid team. I think it's one of those 60-40 games, not sure. And so I had to give it to the Titans. Panthers, that's a W all day. Giants, you're going to have to get it done. It doesn't matter who the Panthers quarterback is. It could be Sam Darnold. It could be Baker Mayfield. Who knows who it's going to be. The Giants have to get that W. They have to get that W. The Panthers are a horrible team. Cowboys. I would love to say the Giants is going to get a W, but I do have them marked as a L there. The Cowboys are just a better team, and they should win. The Bears, that's a W right there. Got to be all day. Josh Fields as the quarterback, young quarterback. They didn't do anything for him. They traded Khalil Mack. That is a W all day. The Giants have to win that game. Packers, that's an L. Ravens, that's an L. Jaguars, it's a 50. It's one of those, to me, it's one of those 60-40 games. Again, 50-50. 60-40, meaning I'm leaning towards the Giants on this one. I do have the mark as a W, but with Doug Peterson, really good, solid coach, they could surprise people this year. But I do have the Giants marked down for a W against the Jaguars. Seahawks, W. Pete Carroll, I think his time in the NFL is almost over. He's going to see what it's like not to have a Russell Wilson at quarterback. Defense might be solid, but they're going through a rebuild right now, and the Seahawks are going to be down for a long time to come. Week 9 is a bye, so just going through what I have so far. Titans, L. Panthers, win. Cowboys, a L. Bears, a win. Packers, a L. Ravens, a L. Jaguars, a win. Seahawks, a win. So heading into the bye, what do I have? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 wins. 4 wins, 4 losses, 4-4 heading to the bye. I would love it if the Giants are 4-4 heading to the bye. That means that Brian Daboll is doing what he needs to do, and hopefully Daniel Jones is playing well. Week 10, Texans, W. Texans are a bad team. We've got to win that game. Lions, W. I know that they may be biting kneecaps and whatever. Cowboys, again, I would like to think that the Giants could get a W because it's a division rival, but the Cowboys are just a better team at this point, unless Dak Prescott is not that good. But I have another L for the Giants here. Washington, I do think that Ron Rivera at this point is getting the Commanders to where he wants them to be. So I do have the Giants taking an L here as well. Philly, and you know, this is where Philly is the better team, no doubt about it. And I think this is going to test Brian Daboll's mettle. here in New York, because I do have them taking the L. That would be a 3-game losing streak. You know, the media is going to be absolutely losing their minds. You know, through the draft process, when they were telling Kayvon Thibodeaux, what are you going to do when we've lost a couple games in a row and the media is going crazy? You know, people on First Take, Stephen A. Smith is losing his freaking mind. What's going to happen? This is where we're going to see what kind of coach is Brian Daboll. Week 15, the Giants bounce back with the win against Washington Commanders. They get revenge. They come back, split the season series. Minnesota is a bad team. A W there in week 16. Indianapolis Colts, I believe they're taking the L. Matt Ryan, veteran quarterback, better overall roster, better overall team. I think the Giants are taking the L there. And the Philadelphia Eagles, week 18 to end the season. They get a W to get a wild card spot and get into the playoffs with a 9-8 record overall. Tell me what you think about that, Giants fans. There you go, Giants fan. That's it. Just wanted to have a quick video. Talk about the draft wrap up, the NFL schedule, OTAs, James Bradberry, what's happening with the Giants. Appreciate all the comments. Please like the video. Please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you on the flip side. Sports is life.